I have stood in battle, where balls like hail were flying all around me. The man standing next to me was shot by my side. His blood spotted upon my clothes, which I wore for weeks. My nearest blood, except that which runs in my vein, was shed for liberty. Liberty is dear to my heart. I cannot endure the thought that my countrymen should be slaves. Revolutionary War veteran Samuel Harris.
Hello, I'm Colin Powell, and I was an American soldier for 35 years. I was a black American soldier, and I followed in a long tradition of black men and women who have served this nation since long before our Revolutionary War. For so many years, they served their nation without their nation ever serving them. They served because they believed in this nation. They believed in the promise of our democracy. They believed in what the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution said. But for so many years, they were denied the rights and the privileges that other Americans enjoyed. Their story isn't well known. Their story was suppressed. Historians did not write about it well enough. But there's a wonderful story. It is the story of a group of Americans who never lost their love of this country, never lost their faith in what the Founding Fathers had promised. And that's why this story is simply called For Love of Liberty.
The record of this nation's African-American servicemen and women is a heroic story draped in irony. Why, despite enormous injustice, did these determined individuals fight so valiantly for freedoms they themselves did not enjoy? The answer to this question can be found in the letters, diaries, thoughts, and reflections of those who were there. Their words are relevant to every American and speak of courage, honor, duty, and sacrifice for love of liberty. I'm Halle Berry, and this is their story.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to come into the Brotherhood Youth Source Center to share your experience and hope with our young people. My name is Ms. Nelson, Shalia Nelson Griggs. I'm a case manager here at the Youth Center, and we're going to go around and have the young people come in and do a formal introduction to you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Smith. I'm one of the interns at Brotherhood Crusade. I'm an 11th grader. I currently intern at Soul Folks, which is a retail place. I've been with Brotherhood Crusade for about 2 years, and yeah.
My name is Zaria. I'm also an intern at Brotherhood Crusade. I'm a new employee at Soul Folks, which is a retail store. I am a junior in high school. And yeah.
Okay, hi, my name is Roy. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I am currently both an intern at Chase Bank for a project known as Project Mosaic, and also a Brotherhood Crusade intern as well.
Fantastic.
Hello, my name is Ryan McNally. I am also an intern at here at the Brotherhood Crusade. I just finished up an internship at Solar Tech, where I helped with 3D printing and also learned admin skills at the front desk.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, Linda, introduce yourself. I'm just recording this for B-roll.
I am Linda Morgan Sam, Marine Sergeant veteran, mother to Aaron Morgan, who is also a Brotherhood Crusade member, who I pulled out of the bed. He will be here shortly because I'm putting him on blast.
Okay, great. Leo, introduce
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Leo Hill III. I'm a job developer here with Brotherhood of the Crusade. Been here for about 8 years now, maybe more. I'm happy to be here after celebrate Veterans Day, so thank you.
Okay.
On the night of May 14th, 1918, Privates Henry Johnson and Needham Roberts were standing watch when a grenade landed in their trench. Private Needham was badly wounded and Henry Johnson was left to face a German patrol on his own. One of the unit's white officers, Major Arthur Little, would later tell his story.
The little soldier from Albany came down like a wildcat upon the shoulders of the German. As Johnson sprang, he unsheathed his bolo knife, and as his knife landed upon the shoulders of that ill-fated Boche, the blade of the knife was buried to the hilt through the crown of the German's head. Major Arthur Little, 369th Infantry Division.
In fierce hand-to-hand combat, the former Red Cap porter of the New York Central Railroad single-handedly wounded or killed 24 enemy soldiers. Back in America, the story was front-page news. The press called the incident the Battle of Henry Johnson.
Having shot one of his foe down and clubbed another with the butt of his rifle, he sprang to the aid of Roberts with his bolo knife. As the enemy fell into disorderly retreat, Johnson, 3 times wounded, sank to the ground, seized a grenade alongside his prostrate body, and literally blew one of the fleeing Germans to fragments. Martin Green, The New York Evening World.
2 days later, the men were presented with the French Medal of Honor, the Croix de Guerre. They were the first American soldiers, black or white, to be so honored in World War I. When asked about the event, Henry Johnson said,
"There isn't so much to tell. Just fought for my life. A rabbit would have done that." Private Henry Johnson.
In August of 1944, the Buffalo Soldiers arrived in Italy. Ulysses Lee, the official government historian for the employment of Negro troops during World War II, was there.
As the thousands of black fighting men debarked from the crowded troop ships, they presented an impressive and awe-inspiring spectacle. Armed with basic weapons and full field battle dress, proudly wearing the circular shoulder patch with the black buffalo, they moved smartly and efficiently into their unit formations. As they marched away, every man in step, every weapon in place, chins up and eyes forward, a low rumbling babble of sound came from the troops on the dock, then swelled to a crescendo of thunderous cheering, which continued until the last Buffalo unit had disappeared from sight. Ulysses Lee.
The unit's white commander, General Edward Almond, didn't want them in.
I did not send for you. Your Negro newspapers, Negro politicians, and white friends have insisted on your seeing combat. And I shall see to it that you get combat and your share of casualties. General Edmund Almond.
The 92nd Infantry battled some of Germany's best trained troops as they fought their way through Italy. In letters home, soldiers like 2nd Lieutenant Spencer Moore would write of their combat experiences.
Dear Mom and Pop, we've been on the line for 82 days, and I don't know when we're gonna get relieved. The men are lousy, sick, frostbitten, shell-shocked, and scared. It's no joke to see men you've known, lived with, eaten with, and slept with, blown up or shot down before your eyes. Well, Mom, Jerry's being in a shell again, so I'll sign off for now. Your loving son, Spencer.
The day after Christmas, 2 platoons of Buffalo soldiers awoke to the sound of mortar fire. The area was swarming with Nazi troops, and within a few hours, the men were fighting for their lives. Nearby, Lieutenant John Fox was calling in artillery coordinates so that others could escape. As the shells moved closer and closer to his position, the officer in charge, Major Otis Zachary, who was also one of his best friends, refused to fire. The Germans were closing in. Lieutenant Fox radioed back. No one survived who saw what happened next. But after the battle, a local priest reported seeing the body of John Fox surrounded by more than 100 dead enemy soldiers. Of the 95 American and Italian defenders, 18 made it back alive.
It was rough, but we were dedicated. We were fighting for a greater cause, for our people. We had to defeat them, and we had to prove that blacks would fight. If we failed, the whole black race would fail. We were fighting for the flag and for our rights. Sergeant James Tillman.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, since we've lost audio on the video file, is we're going to end the video presentation. We're going to toss it back to General Bray and do a Q&A with the people assembled in the room and some of the folks on the screen. So I'm going to start first with Leo Hill being able to conduct the room to ask if there are any students in the room who want to participate and asking General Bray any questions about what they saw and what they can tell us about Veterans Day and service. Yeah, that'd be great. So when you're introducing yourself, make sure you do your full name.
Can we do something? Can you ask everybody that's on the, first of all,
Wait a
mute.
minute, hold on a second, General, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I'll turn mine up. Okay, go ahead, John.
I said, okay, green shirt, can you hear me? All right, appreciate it. And let's see, Kevin's on the side. Young lady with the glasses on the right-hand side of y'all's room, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, first of all, I didn't do this earlier, but we've got folks now. Did Sam Morgan and are they in the room?
Yes, she's next to me.
Outstanding. Well, first of all, that's our retired Marine. I thought I saw a Simplify hat on her. Okay, outstanding. How about Taurus Brandon Reese? Are you in there?
Yes, sir. I am right here.
Yeah, boy, appreciate you. And hopefully when we start talking, I don't want you all to be bashful, but he's a retired Air Force leader and entrepreneur. And Shoni, you've met early, I think you did, but Shoni is, like I tell you, Shoni has a huge responsibility because one of the things he's going to do is, as kind of part of the team, hopefully Shoni will step up and challenge us and make us think differently, as I'm challenging all of you all in the room to do the same thing, which is really and truly jump up, step up. And if we acting like or talking like we're dated and we don't get it and we can't see it from your view, please do. In my picture, which you'll see behind me, those are two West Point cadets and a young captain. And that's me. And you can just see my bow tie because I'm a little taller than they are, but that's us at the opening of the African American Museum. And there's one theme that I hope you pulled out of the movie or the documentary. That's important. It's not a movie, it's a documentary. And even though there are a couple of places where it's like building DNA, they put in some actual footage. Put in some footage that was not actual footage. What you saw was combat camera action. Every quote has been gleaned correctly and validated. And the voices were reading script from something that was actually written down from as far back as the movie goes. The part you did not see was bringing this whole thing forward to show that there was participants in every war, every conflict, leading up to the commander-in-chief responsible for the diplomatic, informational, military, and economic security of this nation with Barack Obama. And the song that they sang was God Bless America. And to start this thing off, I'm going to ask somebody to explain the difference between nation and state.
My name is Kevin Smith. I'm with the Brotherhood Crusade, and I was saying that a nation is a people, while the state is a place. So you have like the state of the different states in the United States. You have like,
Close. The nation. You're exactly right. The nation are a nation are the people, and they're ordinarily of a similar culture and design. Before the United States, most every other European nation was the same faith. Most were from the same tribe. It's okay. You don't be bashful. Relax. Same. They shared those kinds of experience and cultures. One of the challenges, and John Adams caught it, and most people overlooked it, but he said, we're building a new nation. And here's what matters, because for the first time we were going to cross, people forget, the Christians were fighting in Europe. Not the Christians and the Muslims, the Christians were fighting. And they escaped to create the United States. George Washington actually accepted and wrote to the people of Rhode Island to tell them that this is a place where they can also practice their faiths. Because we put a primacy on individual freedoms. And even though at the time slavery was legal, there were those that recognized that it was also a temporal and economic convenience. And in the creation of that, they also did something that was also economic. The way you keep slaves in a large country like ours is if we can go ahead and make this cattle slavery, where you can recognize people based upon the hue of their skin, that's a much easier way to keep slaves. And so that also became part. But the idea that a person could not be born better than another person, Magna Carta, same rules. The Iroquois Indians and the Bill of Rights made us really a new nation. And then they codified it in law. It would be amended with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, 66, 70, 64, 65. And oh, by the way, they're still continuing to do that because they got to keep refining it. But they were trying something that's never been done. And Dr. King called it correctly. We are an experiment. There's nothing like us in the world. So now all of a sudden you got these folks who formerly been slaves, mentally and physically. We've been trained. And oh, by the way, others have been trained to think they were better by complexion. So now all of a sudden you got people fighting to come from under this idea to the greater idea of a new nation. Now I shift to the question I always ask all of you. And since you're looking at me, young lady, I'm gonna take you off the hook. Don't get bashful, it's your turn. Tell me what they were fighting for. Oh, you got another man too. So as soon as you finish, when he wakes up, he's gonna chime in. So go ahead, he's ready to tag team. So just imagine you in the ring and wrestling. When you finish, tap him so he can wake up. Don't lean your head up. He's gonna tap you on the, you're gonna get ready to jump in the ring. Come on, Rock, get ready. Get on the ring. Get ready to tap in. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I think they were fighting for the belief in liberty, meaning, rights, and everybody gets equal rights to whatever the hue of your skin may be, wherever you may be, your religion, your beliefs. the overall belief in liberty and justice for all. That wasn't always given to everybody. People fought, obviously, after watching this documentary, in my own knowledge, people fought for a long time in an array of different ways, but that doesn't always mean that they were given the rights that they fought for, but they did fight. They gave their lives and they gave everything that they have for this belief in justice and in liberty. And that's what I believe they fought for. They fought for what they believe in. They fought for the pride of their people and what they think they deserve, which is what they deserve. They deserve rights. They deserve, to be given what everybody else is given in this country, which is the promise that everybody should get equal rights.
Individuals, others, people they knew, people they didn't know, who were they fighting for? Themselves?
They're fighting for their country, their belief in their nation.
So you think they were fighting for this? Okay, take your left hand and put it out so you can tag him. He's ready to jump in. Put your left hand out. Put your hand out there, tap. He's gonna tag in. Okay, you're in the ring, my man. Talk to me. Tell me, is she right?
She is correct.
Say again.
What's your name? What's your name?
Now, I ain't gonna let y'all flip with me, because you don't look that easy. You gotta say, why is she right? Give me something that you saw in that video that makes you believe, and you ain't gotta try to be exact, but make me believe that, one, no kidding, they were really fighting for this nation, this new nation.
Got to get some time to think about my answer.
Okay, I'm good with that. And by the way, I'm gonna ask Miss Morgan if she can to chime in, and as you're thinking, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background on Miss Morgan as a Marine. What most folks don't realize is only the Army drafted at any point in time. The other services didn't. You got drafted by the Army. If you joined another service, you joined. And as a young woman, to join the Marine Corps at any period in time, that's an incredible challenge. Okay, so if I'm making you dance around the room, then I'll stop, Kevin, and let him answer first. But I wanted Ms. Morgan to go ahead, and I could almost feel her thinking about her choice while, what is your name, sir?
Ether. Right.
Ether. In fact, what I'm gonna ask you to do is, because I can hear you over there, by the way. So if you as you're talking, I'm gonna ask you two to give us a little bit of back and fro on that discussion. Ms. Morgan.
Me and Nathan?
Yes.
So Nathan, he's asking us, what did we see when we saw the movie?
Seeing them fighting for their country and what they believe in, fighting for themselves and everybody for the nation.
Yes, I agree with you.
If I flip the switch just a little bit, Ms. Morgan, why did you choose the Marine Corps?
I chose the Marine Corps because they were the branch of service that could get me out of LA the quickest, to be all honest. It was during a time when I walked into the recruiting station downtown Los Angeles and said, who can get me out of here the quickest? And the Marines said, I can get you out of here by tomorrow. Little did I know.
How long did you stay in?
7.5 years.
Okay,
I came to
7.5
rank of
years.
sergeant.
Can you explain to them what your boot camp was like, and where was yours, Paris Island or San Diego?
Paris Island.
Can you explain to them what your boot camp was like?
Absolutely. Being that I had never been away from home, never been on a plane before, first time leaving Los Angeles. I was born in Watts and raised in Los Angeles. Have never been on a plane, never been out of the country. It was terrifying. As a 20-year-old, I was 20 at the time. And quickly realizing what I had gotten myself into by being a Marine, I started acclimating to Marine life. And that's what 7.5 years later, I obtained the rank of sergeant against all odds. First African-American woman in the Marine Corps to reach the rank of sergeant before 8 years.
I don't mind. Young folks, here's what I really want to get to them before they walked out the room. Remember, this is not about you. This whole journey that they endured was not about us, you or them. And the work that people in that room are doing, and Mr. Reese, I'm just going to tell you thank you. And then I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and do your thing. And I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts as we go forward. And I'll stand at rest and let you continue. Thank you.
Thank you, General Bray. Really appreciate you. I want to recognize if Renee Brown is still on the call. Renee, are you still there with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Renee, thank you for joining us. Hi, I want to introduce you, and I don't want you to fumble the ball because I'm going to throw it to you. But if you can, give us your response to what you saw in the film and connect, if you can, from the film to what these young people are going to be experiencing tomorrow, which is Veterans Day. Because a lot of them don't know how to make that connection. This movie attempted to do that. But General Bray, I worked on this film, and it's really it's our contribution to try and create some framework for them to understand how to understand service to the country, to themselves, or to the community.
The film is very important because it connects every individual to their history. It is not past history, it is living history. Every time you walk out your front door and you can go down the sidewalk, you do that because of the service and the sacrifice of others. And today is actually the 247th birthday of the Marine Corps. And I am a proud daughter of a combat veteran from the Vietnam War, and every man on my father's side has served in the war since all the way back. But I would tell you that it is servant leadership. It is about things that are bigger than you, and you pay it forward. It is so important that you are connected. And in terms of film, one film that connected me to veterans and to even really the concept of war was Mel Gibson's film. What was it? It was on the Revolutionary War.
Oh, right.
And
right,
all
right.
of a sudden it made it personal.
Patriots.
Because what would you do if you were sitting in your house and you had people marching across your front lawn and telling you that you need to come, or they're going to come and take your children and you have no say? And the reason that we have these freedoms to speak, to connect, to join, to sit in the same room together is because someone else came along and they gave their service without really an expectation of something in return, but it mattered enough to give your life for. And I think that is important for everyone to know.
Wow. Thank you, Renee. And one of the things that I want to end with is this program, Brotherhood Crusade Family, which is also on here, Family Inc. We're trying to get these young men and women connected to a purpose that is about them, but also about where they're going to be a contributor in somebody's workforce. So the things that I'd like to have you end us with is, how do we connect with service to others, but also service to ourselves as potential apprentices, and all the skills that we're going to need to actually get to this apprenticeship model for which you guys are setting us up for.
When you give service to self, when you go into an apprenticeship program, you are not just obtaining education or job skills, but you are gaining these skills for your benefit, and everything that you have taken into you for your benefit, you give back to your community. You are a more vibrant, valued member of the community because you can do more. There is a saying, money solves problems. How do you get more money? You go and you get education and the work skills and the competencies, because you can go to college and have a piece of paper. You can get out of high school and have a piece of paper. It doesn't help you with the future. It doesn't help you pay your bills. When you do something like apprenticeship, you are connected and you have an actual job, not a hope, not a wish. You have a job and you are paid wages, and you are able to go forward into occupations that you may never have dreamed of seeing yourself there. And now is the time you can see yourself there. And I actually met you through one of my colleagues, and just to connect, because in looking at that sense of community and how can we all help each other? How do we enrich ourselves and enrich our community so that we have more of a voice and we're able to direct policy? But
Absolutely.
I am very pro apprenticeship. Wish I knew about it when I was younger, and that it's not just the trades anymore. It's everything.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's Leo Hill is our host. I'm going to give it to him so he can close us out. We're good. Okay. Well, again, General Bray, thank you again for your time and energy. I also want to thank Shoni for joining. Didn't get a chance to talk. Torrance, again, this is not your last chance with us. Damone, our apprentice, thank you for joining us. I know you've got a good film that you're going to be joining us with. And anybody else that wants to connect with us, we're open and available for you to join our journey in getting people serve themselves, serve their communities, and be of relevance to the journey. So again, thank everybody for the time and energy, and we're signing off. And happy Veterans Day.
Thanks again, Kevin. Have a good one, everyone.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Iraq and Afghanistan, when back home, the American people elected their 44th president. On a cold winter morning, with 1.8 million people in attendance, Barack Obama placed his hand on Abraham Lincoln's Bible and repeated the oath of office.
So help me God.
With those words, the United States of America had its first black commander-in-chief.
The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit, to choose our better history, to carry forward that precious gift, that noble idea passed on from generation to generation, the God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
The story of America's black patriots is a paradox. Since 1641, there has never been a time in our history when African Americans were unwilling to serve and bravely sacrifice for their country. Yet, despite this valiant heritage, until recently, no matter the conflict, whenever America was engaged in war, the question, would the Negro fight, was raised in numerous ways, and always with the same racist assumptions. African Americans were inferior. They couldn't be trusted with a gun. They didn't have the intelligence or the courage to fight. They wouldn't follow orders, let alone ever be capable of giving them.
As history has vividly demonstrated,
What ultimately needed to be asked wasn't would the Negro fight, but rather why. As African American servicemen and women continue to shed their blood in the defense of the United States, the answer to that question is abundantly clear. Like all Americans in all wars, African Americans fought for love of liberty.
Hello, my name is Khalil Hayes. I'm with the Brotherhood Crusade. This is even more, thank you for your service. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. I know how much you sacrifice and how much your heart is willing for this country. I too have family who have served, and it is very important that we all give you recognition no matter what happens at the end of the day.
Thank you.
So any words, Miss Linda?
Yes, my name is Linda Morgan Sam. I was Jones Crenshaw when I was in the Marines 1981 to 1989. I am 61 years young. I am Erin Morgan's mom, who is a part of the Brotherhood Crusade as well. I served overseas in Japan. I went to the Philippines. I went to visit Korea. My visit to Korea was going over to help the motor transport find a part for a truck that was stranded. I was in Motor T. They made me a mechanic. I am a, this made me think of something. I was released out of the service as a sergeant. Made the rank of sergeant in 7.5 years, unheard of in the Marine Corps history, as a black in the service. Proud of that. What did I in the Marines? As I shared the story yesterday, I wasn't up there. It was walking into the Armed Forces office downtown Los Angeles. All 4 branches was there. 20 years young, I said, who can get me out of here the quickest? The Marine said 1 day. Army said 6 months. Navy said 8. Air Force said a year. So I said, okay, Marines, I'm out. Had no idea what I was doing at 20. Never even heard of the service, never even thought about going in. But after that day of signing my name, I was committed to the Armed Forces. Tried to run, tried to get out of it. They came looking for me. Said, you're AOL now, AWOL, because you've already signed the document. Being that it was over 18, I committed myself. But it was the best 7.5 years of my life because it was the first time I left LA, born in Watts, first time being on a plane, first time leaving home at all. And so that structured my 20 for me. I was there from 20 to 29. Even though it was only 7.5 years, you had to do the math in a month. But it was the best thing that happened to me as a veteran.
You look familiar. You said you had 2 sons?
No, I have a son and a daughter.
Okay, and you was born in Watts?
Sure was.
Well, you had to be done heard about me, baby girl. You had to. Yeah, I ain't lying. The whole south center of LA. I grew up with the toughest, baby. And be proud. I have my.
In 1 minute and 49 seconds, an American fist won a victory. But it wasn't the final victory. No, that victory is going to take a little longer and a whole lot more American fists. Joe Louis, training for the fight of his life. This time it's a fight not between man and man, but between nation and nation. It's a fight for the real championship of the world, to determine which way of life shall survive, their way or our way. This time, we must see to it that there is no return engagement. For the stakes this time are the greatest men have ever fought for. And what are the stakes? The American stakes.